Welcome to TFW Live, the best kept secret in fantasy football, where we keep that week one feeling going all year long. This is episode 321, where we will be talking all the injury news and nuggets from around the NFL headed into week 3 with Classic Mike from the Get Right Fantasy Network. Support for TFW Live is brought to you by our patrons. Our community from patreon.com/the Fantasy Whispers have supported us throughout our brand's existence. And this month we will be doing, as every month moving forward, are giving away an amazing prize. We got a Joe Burrow 2020 Panini Sandwich Chronicles number 19 rookie card ISA 10 to give away to one lucky patron. There are just a couple of days left to get signed up and enter this Sunday prior to kickoff. Head on over to patreon.com/the Fantasy Whispers and sign up today. I'm Austin Sear, and I'm joined here by my best friends, Johnny Game Time Hicks and Big Travie. Bring them on.
Let's go. I want that panini sandwich.
What up to you, Whisper Nation? Seriously, Albert, Ronald, Standard. Man, we got Freak Stomper in the house. Love all you guys here. Way to join us today. And a lot of gratitude going to our members over on YouTube who support the show through a monthly subscription. Gus Ramos, Pizza Belly, Don Caples, Bailey Ziegler, Kevin Dobby, Nick, Brett Zabo, John Credit, Eric Lorenzen, Donnie Tubbs, Jersey J, and Hanimal. If you would like to grow our growing list of YouTube members, click join next to the video. Meow. And thank you to those who followed us on social media this week.
Yeah.
Jason Quinn, Brent Schulz, Cody. It's a fuck about fantasy football. Stop playing with the Mets. Oscar, designated for assessment. DFA Roto. Getting Wit, and Viato, De Lennon, Ryan Bash, Jaredon FB, Tailgates to Touchdowns, Whiskey Lopez, Dan Banan Hammers, Kerry Colvezzo, Joe Pindas, Rangag, Ryan Porco. And if you love fantasy football and would enjoy joining a community where you know you belong, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. We're trying to just get one more subscriber on this stream, just one more. Could be you. And if you are new, let us know where you're streaming in from. We would love to shout you out on the show.
What's
With
up?
that said,
New member.
it is our time to welcome in our guest. You know him from the Get Right Fantasy Network, the Giant from New York, Kadarius Toney's uncle, the Graveyard King, Airport Security's backup, newspaper over internet, Internet Explorer over Chrome, Standard over PPR, our guy, Classic Mike!
What's going on? Oh, wow. That was an introduction.
That was an introduction, man. For you, dude, how are you?
Good, man. Enjoying this wonderful fall day out here in New York. It is beautiful today. 55 degrees and windy. Oh, love it.
All right. Nice.
Such a classic line there. From Classic
Yeah.
Mike. 55 and windy. I love it.
Oh, it's perfect. Perfect weather all day long.
There we go,
That's
man.
awesome.
I freaking love it. We're going to be talking about the weather here a little bit, as it is going to relate over here on our games we're getting ready for. But first, Mike, we want to know how you're doing. We got a couple of questions lined up for you before we jump into a quick recap of yesterday's incredible performance last night. We got the Steelers and the Browns. We'll be chopping that one up then and going through every single team coming into this weekend. But with that said, Johnny, take it away.
Mike, we're 2 weeks in. Well, 2 weeks in a game in. Who is going to be that fantasy player that people drafted that is going to be winning people leagues based on what we know as of right now?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's why we asked it.
Oh, yeah, no, I like it. I mean, right now, I want to say guys like James Robinson. I mean, he's been doing great lately. His usage has been great. You know, he's doing much better than we even predicted. I mean, you were drafting him in what, your last 3 rounds, if anything. You know, I do love what he's been doing lately. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, like these two guys have been doing, you know, wonderful things, and we kind of wrote them off, you know, in the beginning of the year. So, yeah, those two guys I think could be league winners for your team, you know, just because of their value and, you know, where you got them and how well they're doing now. So,
Like it.
Who's hurt you the most?
oh, who's hurt me? Right now Zach Ertz has hurt my team. But beyond him, probably Austin
He's
Eckler.
the number 5 tight end on the season
I know,
right now.
but if
You wanted more. You wanted to be. You wanted
expected
number
way
1.
more.
Greedy.
Yeah,
I'm
you're getting
greedy.
a little greedy.
Probably Austin Eckler in the context of, what we said. I'm trying to be a little greedy here, but from what we were expecting of him and now what we see is two different things. We were expecting him to be the volume guy, getting tons of targets, tons of catches, tons of everything, and now it's like a 3-headed monster that we're worrying about, with Sony Michel and with Joshua Kelly. So, and you see them consistently rotating, and it's it sucks. It really sucks.
Fantasy football for you, baby.
Yeah. I mean, I can even throw in Allen Robinson in there too. We all were hyping him up third, fourth round. So,
Travi, how you feeling on Allen Robinson today?
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you, I've sent out a lot of trade requests involving Allen Robinson going off of my team. So that's pretty much could tell you all you need to know.
And zero.
Look, I
accepted
think
trades.
I think he is going to be fine. They'll utilize him in the red zone, as they said. I'm worried about this team being as prolific as they were last year. Yeah. Now, if McVay can get them right with the offense, then I'd be feeling better. Not to go and pontificate a lot on this. But, Mike, our last question here, I wanted to ask you the player you have the most exposure to that you're actually just jacked on, whether it's best ball or whatever, but that you're just happy you got the most shares of.
That's a good question. I mean, the one that I got the most shares of is currently hurting me, and that's Mike Gesicki. But beyond him, Joe Mixon is doing well. He's staying pretty, level.
The usage is there.
Yeah, he's at running back 10, so he's doing okay. So Joe Mixon, I'd probably say he's being very steady. I did try to get Amon-Ra Brown, consistently, but I didn't get him as much as I wanted him. But I'd say Mixon.
I feel that. We got some shout outs here going on in the chat. Amon-Ra here. Big popular pick on this one, as he should be. Giving a shout out here to everybody in the chat. Jumping in, Freak Stomper, Hurt Robinson, hurt me too. Stranded on second with Tony Clark. Got some questions. I love the questions coming in, Whisper Nation. Yeah. We're going to be getting to all of them by the end of the show, but if you got a relevant one to the subject at hand, we'll do our best to answer that in stride. If you hit us with a super chat, we'll make sure to prioritize that question. But other questions, keep them coming, but we'll make sure we get to those at the end of the show. So it might be some time. We'll start at the top and work our way down. So appreciate them coming in. Albert, Freak Stomper, Ron, everybody here. Good stuff. Keep it coming. Want to take a look here at yesterday's game with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. We had a watch party going on it. We had some parlays. We lost them all, and it was awesome. How was you lost them too, Mike?
Yeah. I lost a few. I did the Mitch Trubisky with a half interception over.
Yep.
Unfortunately, and there was like 3 opportunities that had happened. I'm like, no, come on.
Feels like every time he throws it, there's an opportunity.
Yeah,
really.
I know.
Sure.
Yeah. Like I thought it was a lock.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had Nick Chubb at over 80, whatever it was, 85, I think it was. And I had a couple of really nice ones that I thought, the George Pickens anytime touchdown. I thought, maybe Pat Freiermuth for a touchdown. It is what it is.
Yeah, those are tough. Johnny, what happened with Kareem Hunt getting all those receiving yards taken away? Because I had a secret bet slip that I didn't tell anybody about, and I got 4 out of 5, except was 3 yards short on Kareem Hunt. That one blew it up. Oh. What happened? Didn't he get it and they took it away or something?
Yeah. What? Big Travis silent over here.
I'm laughing at everybody with these secret bets.
Yeah.
I think I'm just
laughing.
You asked me a question about Kareem Hunt. I don't give a shit about your secret bets. So tell me about Kareem Hunt and the receiving yards.
So what happened was it was like a 3rd and long, 3rd and 8. Jacoby Brisket completed it over the middle. Yeah. It literally looked from the angle like he caught it. He gets up, they tackled it, and then he actually dropped it.
Oh, it was
that.
Yeah.
And they actually initially said that he caught it, and then they said that he didn't. Yeah.
Right. And so that's why they ended up picking the field
That's
goal.
what it was.
Yeah. And so, but they kept it for the longest time. So I was like, oh, maybe I missed a play, and he actually got it. because yeah. So then they ended up taking away, missed it by a couple.
So Kareem Hunt didn't get the 17 receiving yards we needed. He got the 14 receiving yards, 3 out of 4 receptions, 3 catches on 4 targets. I want to ask you guys first on the quarterback side. I don't think there's a lot we need to say about Trubisky. That dude is an athlete. Give him that credit. You watch him run around behind the line of scrimmage. I'm like, he moves pretty fluid. He looks pretty good. He's got his arms square. He's there. The ball doesn't look bad, but it's like he's just not great at the quarterbacking position. It's just like he's not the best decision maker. He has trouble hitting his throws when it counts. It's like you're an athlete, dude. You look like a strong guy. I got no issues with you personally, but I don't really want you quarterbacking for my squad.
You're not Charles Barkley. You're just a wannabe that looks like him.
Be gone.
Be gone.
Yeah. But on the other side of the ball, Jacoby Brissett, man, this guy just to me, he was hitting me like a slightly better Teddy Bridgewater. Overall smart decision making, wasn't making too many risks, but wasn't afraid to make a risk if he really had to take one. It was like his last option, but if he had to take one, he could go downfield a little bit. He finished 21 completions on 31 attempts, 220 yards. That was significantly above the over projections. I think it was like 180 something yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. It's not blowing you away with these numbers, but it's getting the job done. I mean, 29 points, and the Browns are 2-1 right now. I don't think we're considering starting Brissett, but
3-0. Should be.
Probably should be. I mean, at long term, I know he's just a placeholder right now, presumably for when Deshaun Watson comes back after his suspension. How are we? Do we have any other words to throw out about Jacoby Brissett other than placeholder right now? Does he have anything else? What would you say, Johnny?
You won't like it, but he's just a winner, dude. He just gets the job done. He did it in Indianapolis. He did in New England. He just wins games.
I like that, man. Yeah. Lost me my bet against you, but it was close.
Miami. I forgot he did a stop in Miami as well.
Yeah, that's close, right? So I think that's a fair winner. I think that I like that take. Smart, thoughtful, gets the job done. So good job, Cleveland on this. Looking over to the running back side, this is a little bit more interesting. In our listener league had Naji Harris here going up against my opponent's Nick Chubb. And it was pretty close, even though Nick Chubb looked like a hell of a lot better runner. Mike, I heard you talk about Naji Harris at the top. Can you share your thoughts on the first-round drafted running back going into his sophomore season?
Honestly, his ceiling is being held down because of the line. He can't get through the line. And if you watch the tape, he literally will go to like the B caps and like try to get through a line and then just get shut down. He doesn't try to take a cut. He doesn't try to go outside. He doesn't try to do anything. He literally just runs the ball straight. And the volume of, his little passes, like he didn't have he had 3 targets for 3 receptions for 5 yards. Last year he kind of lived with, his numbers were huge because of those little dunk passes to the outside on the flat for him to go up the field. He's just not getting it, and it's because the line isn't giving them time to be able to do anything. So it's basically, for me, it's the line. I mean, their O-line is absolute garbage compared to, the O-line for Cleveland, in my opinion. Cleveland's line opened up holes for Chubb, and then Chubb would knock you over and keep on running.
Travis, Nick Chubb is looking exactly like who we thought he was, but maybe even a little bit better. It looks like that wobble bar shake weight that he was squatting borrowed from Jameis is doing him some good. Kareem Hunt has been getting it done too. Are we just the Browns running backs are who we thought they were, and they're kind of looking good through 3 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Johnny's going to like this, but Jacoby Brissett is just making this offense a little bit more efficient than Baker Mayfield ever did, is what it looks like. And so you can actually get away with Chubb like being who he is and getting subbed off the field with Kareem Hunt because they're an efficient offense and they're doing more with their opportunities right now than Baker was. And I'll give Baker the credit. He was injured. So it is exciting because especially something where like Chubb will probably have weeks where he's not going to get 3 touchdowns or even a touchdown in the game. And that's going to upset you. But I think he's overall going to be that fringe, borderline, and back end RB1, borderline RB2 by the end of the year. But then if Watson comes back, I think that he can actually hit the ceiling that we're seeing right now. That'll be more sustainable here.
I love how Travis says like, oh, like Baker inefficient. When like they've been like Hunt was good last year. Nick Chubb was good last year. They've been
Nick Chubb's
good with
always
Baker.
been good. He averages
Yeah,
over 5 yards a carry
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
time.
So I don't know why Joe Travis trying
I
to
don't
throw
know.
some shade on Baker over here. Like, bro,
Well, you know
like,
why.
yeah, I know why, but it wasn't a one that stuck because that's not the
What I don't know why is Travis calling Nick Chubb a high-end RB2 when he's literally never been an RB2 outside of his
He was
first
an
year.
RB2 last year in PPR. He was a RB 11 in 2020. So that's a back-end RB1, which is what I just said. He was again. I'm not saying that Nick Chubb sucks at football. I clearly can see the game with you guys.
Are you sure? Do you not like Nick Chubb?
This is like the DK Metcalf. This is like the DK Metcalf argument. I agree that they're physical specimens and good at what they do, but it's about opportunity. Okay, it's about your offense. It's about environment. Is he going to be the RB1 in standard and PPR for the rest of the year? No, he's not going to be. He will regress to more of an RB 10 through 14. That is where Chubb will end up, and I think that's fine. Wow. I think it, to Mike's point.
In PPR, you're saying, I am looking at standard. Our league of record is standard. That is where my head was at. I understand.
We have classic
RB7, RB9, I can get all
I'm not in one standard
riled up too, Travis. We can yell about our takes. I'm with you there, buddy. But
you guys aren't
standard.
I'm just trying to say.
Yeah, is he better now? Is he better now because of this non-Baker offense? That's actually my question. Because Nick Chubb is always who Nick Chubb
I think that Nick Chubb is
better.
I think Nick Chubb is better than his ADP suggested coming into the year, and that is because Brissett is managing the offense better than a lot of people thought he could. Guys like Amari Cooper have stepped up. Guys like DPJ in week 1 have stepped up. And if that continues, if they can continue to threaten defenses with some sort of pass between Brissett and these other pieces, then yes, I think that he can be better than we thought. But do I think that he belongs, should we have been drafting him over Naji Harris? Clearly, yes, But I think that might have more to say about Naji Harris than it does Nick Chubb.
Where would Nick Chubb or Dalvin Cook in standard?
Dalvin Cook.
Okay. Let's talk about the wide receivers right now. Travis, you mentioned here Amari Cooper, feeling a little romantic again. Yeah. 11 targets, 7 catches, 101 yards. He pulled in a touchdown. I think that Deontay Johnson looking strong, looking good, getting it done, especially from a PPR perspective. Chase Claypool perennially giving you blue balls. George Pickens, hey, they're saying one of the greatest catches, it's so good.
Yeah, dude.
And we watch that propensity to do the one-handed, blow a touchdown in the end zone. So I'm actually, this guy's looking like a rookie all the way for me. I'm excited about him in Dynasty. I'm
OBJ
not as excited
2.0.
about. No, not even close.
I mean,
I know.
was doing it too.
Odell Beckham was catching. He was catching touchdowns in the end zone. He wasn't being silly and dropping them. You can go ahead and try to make that case, and I don't think you'll like what it looks like on replay. George Pickens had some really nice movement. He had some mistakes, though. He's showing his rookiness in that again. Excited moving forward, but we'll go ahead and wait and see. Chase Claypool, I don't know if we got to wait and see anymore. What do you guys do with Chase Claypool? He's on your team.
Yeah, you cut him.
Dropping him.
Yeah, there's nothing there for you to really do. I think he was in a nice range that was kind of like an upside play, dart throw, like maybe he could emerge with Trubisky, but it's clearly, Deontay Johnson or bust, and even Deontay is a one that, unless you're in PPR, is letting you down at times because of the offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, Deontay Johnson. Well, this isn't pulling up for me here, so whatever. Moving on.
But you see the disparity. To Travis's point, he's on an RB9 in PPR, but RB21 in standard.
Wide receiver, yeah.
He doesn't score a ton of touchdowns. Is his only problem.
They're just not getting any first downs. This Steelers team. We watched it at the fourth quarter. All they needed to do was they just can't get first downs. They can't move the ball. They can't do what they need to do.
Why is that?
Because they don't throw to Pickens enough, dude.
Oh shit!
No, it's because their line is horrible and doesn't go.
I know
that throw the ball decently.
Agreed.
Yeah,
agreed. So
Johnny,
how does he
about Amari Cooper?
Pickens?
Let's talk about Amari Cooper. He has been a little bit exciting. He's been that number 1 wide receiver. I'm sorry, it's not DPJ. It's not Bell. It's Amari Cooper. Things can change, but as through 3 weeks, it is clear. How are we evaluating Amari Cooper? Where would Amari Cooper be going if he was being drafted in redraft leagues today?
still do fear the weather a little bit because he has he does have a propensity in bad weather, of course, like a lot of receivers, to kind of disappear. But in the system, he's the wide receiver one. I still do think he'll be, top 15, top 16, probably right around where he's been the last few years. It doesn't look like he lost much of a step. They are targeting him, and he's their best wide receiver, so why not? And then you got to imagine when he does get Deshaun Watson back, he'll be more consistent, probably than he's being right now, and his ceiling would be a little bit more higher.
That would be what I would say. Is his ceiling you get more touchdown upside if Watson's back in the lineup.
Right.
He should stay pretty consistent. I look at him in the same realm. I don't know if Mike, if you agree, is like a Brandon Cooks. He's going to be a guy that's going to gobble up targets in a mediocre offense, and honestly, he might have better peripherals just because we like the Browns offense a little bit more than the Texans.
Mm-hmm. He's a better route runner. I mean, that's what he's known for. He's very good at routes, and he can just ethic. Of course. And that's what he's good. I think Brandon Cooks is a very solid comp for him, and he's just a bigger Brandon Cooks. He's always been a really good wide receiver one anywhere he's gone. That was my whole argument with the context of CeeDee Lamb, when he was in Dallas, in the context that he was helping CeeDee Lamb out. Now that he's gone, we see it, but that's a different conversation for a different day. But you can see that he's able to do it here in Cleveland without a problem, even with Brissett throwing him the ball. Right. It doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to get there. And he gets so much separation that he has all the ability to get the ball and just, he loves just taking it. And then he can either get yards after the catch or just go down.
What's great. Sorry to cut you off, Mike, but what's crazy is, as you see, like Njoku also went off, and I know we'll talk about him in a second, but
do it now.
That means Brisket is supporting like a really healthy offense, right? You've got a good solid. Well, this is
putting up like almost 30 points a game,
but points. Yeah, they're Jacoby, man. Let's go.
They had Trubisky and Brissett. They had the same yard, like they had almost the identical stats except for the 2 touchdowns that Brissett threw. So
right.
They're looking good on this one, and it really benefited David Njoku. We heard the coaches come in and talk a little bit about how sometimes it's going to be a Njoku game. Sometimes we're just going to have him block heavily. Well, he had 10 targets, 9 catches, 89 yards, a touchdown, and then 5 first downs. So they were going to him in some important moments. Travis, you talked a lot about David Njoku as one of these deep down sleepers at the tight end position that we're always considering. He's got Pop, former first-round pick, got Austin Hooper out of the mix now. Been a bit inconsistent, but this ceiling he showed last night is hard to ignore. What are you feeling about David Njoku today?
Yeah, this was great to see. He was a guy that was probably a drop candidate in some formats coming into this game because he had just not shown it there. He had the contract and he had some peripherals, but Harrison Bryant still exists and pulled some snaps away from him. But this was a great ceiling game, and I just think now you're at a point with Njoku. Maybe you snatch him up if you can, if you're streaming, and you play him in the right matchups. I wouldn't want to go and trust it 100%. But, there is these kind of games and these environments for the Browns, who have a really, really soft schedule to start, and they've played 3 games of that schedule. But they've got some more games coming up that are very, winnable matchups, or at least bad secondaries for them. So you definitely like that, and you want to see him as a potential streamer going forward.
Yeah, like a king of a streamer type. He's like a premium streamer kind of guy.
Yeah, they've
doing 2. Maybe.
Atlanta, and then the Chargers, New England, Baltimore. Secondary's banged up right now, so there's a couple matchups within the next 4 weeks you could target.
All right. Well, any other thoughts on last night's Thursday night game before we move on to the news and notes? All right. Taking a look here at the Arizona Cardinals. We've got James Conner going to be a game time decision week 3, dealing with that ankle injury. Not looking like we're going to get Rondale Moore, Johnny. Are you firing up Daryl Williams? Are you considering Eno Benjamin? And any other pass catchers in Arizona outside of Marquise Brown you would be excited to play?
So real quick on the Rondale Moore, Cliff Kingsbury said today that he expects him hopefully back by next week, but he said for sure 2 weeks from now. So I have no idea. Like, that was a pretty bad hamstring, but it is good to see that they're like literally letting him rest fully before they come back. And then James Conner they're going to see how he does in warmups. And then, so it is a true game time decision. So that is pretty concerning to me. Ultimately, I think they do sit him. And I don't know, I don't have any sources telling me that, but I just have because I know how much the Cardinals are wanting to use him this year, especially with Hopkins out. I think that they would probably hold him out so it doesn't get worse. But again, we'll see. If he is out, it is an afternoon game. Williams would be the play. He should take the Connor role. I do like Eno a little bit more, considering like you can't really run on the Rams right up the middle, so it's going to be a lot more dump offs. So expect a little bit more Eno and probably Zach Ertz in this game.
You'd go Eno over Daryl Williams. You're making a decision in your flex right now. You got both Arizona Cardinals running backs. 2 minutes till kickoff, Johnny. Who is in your flex, Eno or Daryl Williams?
Well, if I have both of them, it's situational, right? So if it's PPR versus standard, if it's standard, I'm rolling with Williams. He has a higher likelihood to score a touchdown if they get near the goal line. But if it's like PPR and I'm down, I'm going with Eno, because Eno should see a lot of dump offs. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets like 5 catches in this game. Should be able to get 50 or so yards, and then you never know. Like, touchdowns are fluky, so he could end up sneaking one of those in. But yeah, you're just looking at this D front for the Rams and expect them to kind of do a lot of dump off screens to get around it, and then use more Eno, who's like more of an explosive around the corner type of running back.
And then any other takes or insights to share about the wide receivers out of Arizona? Any extra sneaky plays this week? Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Travis, I'm coming to you on J.K. Dobbins. I know you've got some investment in the running back for Baltimore. He's questionable for week 3. He did get in 3 full practices this week. You love that. It's a great sign for future expectations. And I like the way they frame it here in the blurb. For most players, that would all but guarantee they are playing on Sunday. Dobbins is recovering from significant knee damage, including a torn ACL he suffered from training camp last year. We know he's been ramping up. We know he's really excited. If he plays, are you excited to play him in your fantasy lineups, though?
Oh, I don't think I would be. I think he'd be on some sort of a snap count. And I just think that Baltimore is really okay right now with this aggressive pass rate offense that they're running. Now, obviously, they lost last week, but this offense looks to be clicking through the air between Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman, and then even Devin Duvernay, who are all Isaiah Likely, who's also on the injury report. All these guys are weapons now. This is something that we questioned out of Baltimore in the passing attack, if they had enough weapons. They have weapons now. And we saw them before Lamar went down last year were really aggressive as well, because they didn't have a run game. So until we see Dobbins back and get the full workload, no. I do like a little bit of like the narrative here, though. He said, hey, don't doubt me and Jesus, what we're up to at the highest level. It is week 3. We have the Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. I think J.K. Dobbins might play today, or J.C. Dobbins, maybe we should call him. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Wow.
I would not play him. I think the line that it probably, it would. I mean, I'd probably play him over the Arizona backs.
That's a good question. Johnny, would you play J.K. Dobbins or Daryl Williams? What about you, Mike?
Yeah,
I'd probably go with Daryl, just because I know the consistency is there. I don't know what's going to happen with JK. I need to know that I'm going to be getting at least 10 to 15 touches and, be okay with it. He might get that, but I'd still see them kind of easing him in even after the fact. I mean, they've literally held him out for the last 2 weeks when he said he was ready to go week 1. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, we heard all the reports that he wasn't going to be ready at least for another month, and he kept pushing it and kept pushing it and pushing it. So honestly, I don't even think he plays, but we'll see. It's like Darius. It's like Shaquille Leonard, who keeps saying that he's okay and he's practiced all week, and then they bench him on game day. I mean, I just don't see it yet.
Yeah.
We've seen some great production coming out of the Buffalo Bills, whether or not they've had a lot of these great players they've got outside of Stefon Diggs active. Good news for the Bills, though. It is going to be a great addition to get Gabe Davis back. He is questionable week 3, Mike, against the Dolphins. He said he was 100% confident he would play earlier this week. That sounds great. It also sounded great when J.K. Dobbins said he was going to play week 1 too. So we got to breathe that in with a little extra consideration and a little bit of pause. Dawson Knox dealing with a foot issue. He's also questionable for week 3. He's got in a limited session today and yesterday. Sat out practice earlier in the week. It's more likely than not that he'll go, but he hasn't been super involved anyways. I assume you're going to start Gabe Davis if he's active. How are you feeling about Dawson Knox and any other wide receivers that you would actually be getting going in a standard type league? Is Isaiah McKenzie or Crowder bear any consideration for you, Mike?
No. No. In standard, no. PPR, maybe. Maybe Connor, or not Connor, Crowder, I'd be okay with maybe. McKenzie doesn't really do anything for me in the context of what he does. He doesn't get a lot of production or targets. Yeah, game 1, the first game of the year, he did okay. Dawson Knox, he could do okay, but we haven't seen any good usage of him. It's kind of like we were saying in the offseason. He's very touchdown dependent, and he's not really getting looked at. Stephon Diggs is his love, and Josh Allen will literally just throw it right to him every time. I mean, what, 14 targets and 11. So it's one of those things where Gabe Davis definitely opens it up a little bit more for when he if he comes back. I mean, I retweeted a bunch of video of him at practice. They showed a couple of little things he was doing, and he looked okay. It was, I think, Thursday, if I remember. So today it's an extra day. They still got one more day, and thankfully this is a 1:00 game, so we'll have a better idea. I'm definitely playing Gabe Davis if he's playing, because why not? I mean, the kid is incredible. I love this guy.
Speaking of incredible kids, man, we got Christian McCaffrey. Travis, is this not just been such an amusement park, maybe a haunted house, maybe something that's definitely got your nervous system jolting around?
We do have October around the corner, so maybe it's a little bit of a haunted house. CMC, these have been cracking me up. Now what I do when CMC pops up on the injury report is I look exactly at the context. I go and dig for the context, or I look for a quote by him. And his quote this week was, literally, if I took a piss, I would end up on the injury report. So that is another thing. He had a little bit of stiffness to start the week.
Wait, he's that fragile? He's that fragile right now?
Yeah, exactly. I think he might.
That's a beta move, dude.
I think he might have a UTI.
Yeah.
No, but that sounds like.
Hey, man, those things hurt.
Yeah. Right.
Pain tolerance. Let's go.
So for me, it's just, until it's something serious, I don't panic. If you never drafting CMC wasn't for the faint of heart. So if a pop-up on the injury report is really if it's really bugging you, then trade him away. But
listen,
for
me, you don't draft CMC, all right?
That's it, dude.
Pay for the light boys.
I didn't draft him anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. That's a classic.
That's a classic.
So we understand that, but for me, it's fine. He's getting elite usage like he used to get before. If the offense can just get a little bit more efficient, and I'm not asking for a ton, and they put a little bit more focus on dumping down to CMC, he is going to absolutely crush. And so he's just got to keep continuing doing what he's doing.
There we go. And we're going to keep continuing doing what we're doing. Moving on over to the Cincinnati Bengals. Hayden Hurst, who runs an incredible foundation, who was our choice to sponsor for the mock draft marathon.
Yeah.
Classic Mike helped us out on that marathon. Got to benefit that phenomenal organization, bringing a lot of awareness and solutions towards the mental health area. God knows we all need it, but we are dealing with a different type of injury right now. It's a groin that Hayden Hurst's got. Also important, he's questionable for week 3. I mean, I just got to be straight with it, though. Are we in or out? Is Hayden Hurst the option you want streaming at tight end for you? Mike, what do you think? No,
not today.
I don't
it's
think
against
so.
the Jets. I get it, but it's.
Probably
I
find
don't
better.
see him playing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can definitely find someone better. Yeah.
To be in a super deep league on this one. Moving on to the Dallas Cowboys. We got Michael Gallup, Johnny, who was a full participant in Friday's practice. 2 straight practices for Gallup coming off of that ACL suffered last year. Signs are pointing to getting Gallup back. I know that would be nice for what has become quickly a very depleted Cowboys offense. Dalton Schultz speaking of depleted offensive players, did not practice on Friday. It's tough to pivot considering he is on Monday night schedule this week. Johnny, how would you handle Dalton Schultz? Probably a wait and see on Michael Gallup, especially with Cooper Rush. You're happy for the Cowboys. I don't think we'd advise playing Michael Gallup outside of extremely desperate situations.
Yeah.
Tell me if I'm wrong here, but I really want to know how you would approach Johnny Dalton Schultz being this kind of game time call, given that he's playing on Monday.
I think he probably ultimately plays, but again, I don't try. I would be trying to find a different solution. I'd be like trying to search for Irv Smith. I'd be trying to, maybe, well, if you were lucky and played Njoku over him. But I am concerned with the knee injury, and having that as your tight end, it's already a fluky position anyway. I don't need my tight end already injured, as well as the quarterback situation. You're not super. I mean, Cooper Rush, I get it. Golf clap to him. He performed week 1.
Step in, get the job done, baby.
Yeah, but I don't have confidence in it. So I like other players that are on the waiver wire or tight end streamers over playing Dalton Schultz on that injury.
Yeah, I think so, man. It's like the difference between good and great is so slim, and great to amazing is so small in this sport. Dalton Schultz was hanging on by so many boxes getting checked for him. If you decrease his ability even just a little bit, then with the Dak Prescott being out, I mean, we were giving him the jag tag before the injury to both the quarterback and his own knee. So that's kind of a tough one for me. I would start to be thinking about some other plans at the tight end position if I was rostering Dalton Schultz myself. Travis, you've had some Denver Broncos players on your squad, so I wanted to get your take on some of this. You traded away Jerry Judy in our Dynasty League. I know that you were not a fan of how often you saw Jerry Judy getting injured, and lo and behold, here he is dealing with some shoulders, ribs, knees, and toes. Just kidding, shoulders and ribs, though.
Hey,
we got KJ Hamler. There we go. She's coming on the show here pretty soon. KJ Hamler, who's that speedy second-year player, third-year player now, I guess. He is third-year player. I don't know, whatever. He's got a knee and a hip, and he kind of came in, and then he didn't have a setback, but he then wasn't getting action. I don't know. It doesn't sound like KJ Hamler is 100%, but they might be pushing him forward a little bit because they did lose Tim Patrick. Jerry Judy is on the recovery. KJ Hamler just might be a little bit further on his recovery than Jerry Judy is. That's going to force him a little bit into the game. I don't know. I'm loving Cortland Sutton, Travis.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to find other options. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing sounds like a riddle where the answer is Cortland Sutton, and I just think that Cortland Sutton dominated in air yards last week, and he is a guy that's going to continue to get peppered in this offense, even in a tough matchup for, maybe Russ and the rest of the offense against San Francisco on Sunday night in Denver. I still love Sutton because of the target market share he'll demand in this game. And, because of that Sunday night, even if Judy guts it out and he ends up going, he wouldn't be somebody I want to put in my lineup just yet until I see him kind of get back fully from the injury. But I think the Broncos are smart here. They're going to probably rest Jerry Judy and let him get fully back up to speed here. And we could probably see a lot of the backs and Cortland Sutton.
Are they that smart, though?
Well, I think that's actually a fair question, Mike.
Hey, man, I'm a Russ owner, man. It's been very difficult to see. It's very, very difficult to deal with. I mean, I own the stack with Russell and Cortland in one of my big leagues, and it's one of those things where I'm disappointed, and you would think that he would, in an offense that's so pass heavy, you would think that he would be a little bit more, accurate with the football, maybe. Like he seems like he's throwing under duress, which I thought the line looked, in the offseason would be a better option.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. And it looked like, Geno has more time, behind the Seattle offense, which is very odd to begin with as well. So for me, I'm just hoping that they can get this going. Honestly, Hackett needs to get rid of the play calling and give it to somebody else. And, Dable, I was reading something today. Dable, everyone's talking how good he's been, Giants 2-0. I know, whatever. But at the same time, he's handed off the play calling to Mike Kafka and been like, hey, you do this while I, manage the game here. Maybe you should start doing that.
Maybe I'm looking here at Ronald's points, and I love you, Professor Ron. But I don't know, man. We've seen this movie a bunch of times. Wilson starts slow. I had to check you on that one. You go back to last year, 35 points, 27 points. You go back to 2020, 40 points, 45 points, 47 points, 26 points, 32 points. You go back to 2019, 20 points, 30 points, 45 points.
He always started hot, and then he ends. He
started hot.
He burns hot, and then he fizzles
and then
out.
he falls off.
He's
getting a flip. Are we getting a flip?
And that would make sense, right? Look at these other teams he's been in, right? Yeah. The other teams he's been ingrained in the offense. He knows the play caller. He knows the coach. So, yeah, of course it could tail off as maybe the defenses get a little bit better against him or those teams maybe got banged up. In this case, I do think that there is a case for Russ to get better later. I do. And he's going to have to in that division if they want to make anything happen. But they just paid a boatload of money to Russ Wilson. Like, they won't have the patience for Hackett's bullshit. No, even I think again, like Mike is right to bring up the fact that they will probably have to, urge him to relieve play calling duties because he can't even manage the clock right now and get good play calls in. And then Russ, what we're seeing too, and this could be part of it, is guys that didn't play in the preseason, even veteran quarterbacks, are kind of struggling. And so guys that did play in the preseason, Patrick Mahomes, we're seeing, Josh Allen looking really good. So
I think those are really important points that you bring up. There's a learning curve to doing anything new. And even if it's something familiar, like playing football, which Russell Wilson's been doing for a long time, he's wearing a new NFL jersey for the first time. He's playing for a head coach who's never head coached. That wasn't obvious before. Yesterday's a really good point was brought up about Nathaniel Hackett. Was it Kluge or was it one of us, Travi, who mentioned the plan might have been for Hackett to come over to Denver to grease the wheels on getting Aaron Rodgers in the blue and orange, and that didn't work out. So they went with a guy who they didn't hate, but his real purpose was to bring Aaron Rodgers on board. Now they're kind of stuck with him. I don't know how much truth is in there, but Hackett needs to get sharp or turn it over really fast, and they're not going to have a lot of patience for it. I'm not going to have a lot of patience for Russell Wilson in week 3, which is why I'm actually considering starting Jared Goff instead of Russell Wilson. I wanted to get Whisper Nation's take on that one because, Travi, you mentioned here the continuity of some of these quarterbacks and if they miss time in the preseason. Jared Goff looks to be really benefiting from having some familiarity with this Detroit Lions team. Amon-Ra St. Brown, DeAndre Swift, Hawkinson have allowed Jared Goff to produce at a good rate. I think he's like the number 9 overall quarterback right now. I like the interdivision matchup against Minnesota this week. Do you think that starting Jared Goff over Russell Wilson is a horrible call this week?
Absolutely not. I write an article every week, start sit for Club Fantasy FFL, and that is the exact combo. I said to fade Russell Wilson and to start Jared Goff. It's simply all the things we talked about with Russ, plus they're playing the Niners. And on the opposite end, we have one of the highest point totals between the Lions and the Vikings. We've already seen the Vikings defense get shredded last week against Jalen Hurts. And we've already seen the Lions, they played in the preseason. They're running on all cylinders. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown could literally make Jared Goff a QB1 on his own, on his own back because of the work he can do. And then you have Swift and, as you said, Hawkinson. If Jared Goff could connect on 1 or 2 of these throws to DJ Shark down the field, that's another way he can spike. We've seen Goff do this in other offenses before with the Rams as well. He's definitely one of the better streamers out there. And this week, I love the matchup.
I mean, I want to get a take on Hawkinson from Mike here. But before I pivot over on that side, Travis, on your point, likening this Detroit Lions team led by Jared Goff to some of his previous LA Rams teams, I don't think that's so far out of bounds take. I mean, you've and then especially when we get Jameson Williams back, like Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown, it's a very exciting possibility on that. But then we've got, we from his Cooper Kupp or his Robert Woods, you got your Amon-Ra St. Brown there, just this target monster able to do extra work. You got a really good running back. TJ Hawkinson is an option. Classic Mike, 90% snap share averaged for TJ Hawkinson. Hasn't had great outputs, 38 yards and 26 yards, but 7 targets in both games, 4 catches week 1, 3 catches week 2. He's definitely a startable tight end in what is always like a disappointing tight end field. I asked the question, like, I don't know if TJ Hawkinson's not going to hurt you, but I don't know how much he's going to help you. Where are you looking at TJ Hawkinson as a fantasy viable tight end?
Yeah, I mean, he's middle of the road for me. You know, he's probably a low end tight end 1, you know, for the rest of the season, if you want to look at him from that perspective.
Yeah.
If you're looking at him like right now, like this week, I mean, I don't know. I have him ranked probably tight end 10. I have to look real quick.
Okay.
But yeah, I have him exactly tight end 10, where, you know, right below Zach Ertz, right above Logan Thomas. Like he's just someone that's going to help you get like 7 to 8 points, you know, 7 to 10 points, where he can just help you out maybe. You know, my question to you guys, I have this scenario, and I'm actually kind of trying to figure out what I want to do. I have Russell and I have Kirk Cousins sitting right there on the waiver, or, you know, in free agent. Do I drop Russell? Like, is now the time to drop him and just go with somebody else and start just stream every week? Or do I, you know, just stick it, you know, hold in one more week and see what happens?
So I just traded Russ to Austin, and the reason I wouldn't be like dropping Russ is because I think you can get someone to still buy Russ. Like I wouldn't be, and then Kirk Cousins is going to he's going to do what he did Monday night another few times this year, which means he's going to do what Russell Wilson's done already. Yeah. But Kirk doesn't have Russ's ceiling. I think we know that. Now, the offense is good, and he'll put up a 30-point game. But Russ, in this offense, if it gets clicking in that division, can give you the 4 or 5 touchdown game, and that's a different ceiling. So for me, I wouldn't drop him this week for that. But if there's somebody else that you can drop, or if you can get Russ off the squad and you're confident in Kirk the rest of season and you get good value back for Russ, that's something I'd consider.
I'll tell you, I agree with that point Travi made. I wasn't super stoked to acquire Russell Wilson. He was my 3rd favorite piece in the trade that we made. There was 5 total players involved, but I am happy. I had Trey Lance, so that created a vacancy that was over there. I like the ceiling. I also picked up Jared Goff. I also have Aaron Rodgers in there. So I'm like kind of working on this situation myself. But what I'd say is that I've had trade offers come to me for Russell. So like I just traded and picked up Russell Wilson, and then people are in my DMs trying to get Russell Wilson. They're not giving me anything that's gotten me excited enough to move forward, but they haven't been horrible offers on this. I mean, Ronald coming in here too. 2 weeks, people. Drop Wilson, come on. I mean, it's just another bit of feedback from some about how we feel about Russell Wilson. People are holding out hope. They like him. I think you could get some value for him. And I think Travis is right too. Like the ceiling is still really high. Speaking of high ceilings, man, the Packers have traditionally had such a high ceiling, but man, Travis, are the wide receivers banged up right now. Christian Watson, hamstring, questionable. Looks like a new injury. Allen Lazard, man, he got stepped on. Like, what the fuck was that? Now that had to miss some time. He's coming back. We still don't know exactly what Allen Lazard's about. It's such an amazing question mark this offseason. Sammy Watkins is the only thing we know, and he's out. He's not going to be playing. He did have that good play with Aaron Rodgers. We heard that Romeo Doubs should get more involved. Matt LaFleur gave him a shout out earlier here. Travis, we like the running backs. We like Dylan. We like Aaron Jones. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is probably going to throw for around 250 yards. He might get a couple of touchdowns. Who do you think is going to be the likely beneficiary of the majority of that work? I don't know if it's even recommendable who it is, but who would it be?
I don't think there's anybody I could recommend the pass catchers. This is a low game total. Vegas is sharp on it as well. It's Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady at 40 points. That is not something I probably would have ever seen in a matchup between them ever before. It is going to be about Leonard Fournette, and it is going to be about the 2 running backs in Green Bay, and that is all I want a part of in this game at all, because I just do think, first of all the talent for both of these squads right now, based on health, is on the defensive side of the ball.
Right.
And even if these guys were healthy coming in, the Bucs secondary is playing a lot better than it has in the last couple of years. Todd Bowles has this team fired up on defense, so there's nobody recommended in the passing game for Green Bay for me.
And we're going to have some things to talk about on the wide receiver injury report for the Bucs here too, but T comes a few letters after G. So we'll get there, folks. And we will get to your questions, Whisper Nation. Deluxe Krang plays coming in. We'll make sure we get to all your questions at the end. If you got no time to spare, though, hit us with that super chat. You can just do 99 cents and we'll get you prioritized. Just like the Indianapolis Colts are going to probably prioritize Michael Pittman if he's active. That'd be a really nice piece for them to get back. Looks like he's ready to go, according to Frank Reich, for week 3. Missed last week. Alec Pierce, though, also looking pretty good for coming in. I don't know if we're going to recommend starting him. Ashland Doolin's been getting some love. Michael Pittman is in for us, Mike. Any other pass catching options in for your lineup out of Indianapolis?
No, probably just him. I mean, there's really no, I mean, unless you want to count Nyheim Hines or, throw him in there. But no, other than that, I'm just playing Michael Pittman. I mean, Mo Alley Cox is no one that you can trust, even though I love Mo Alley. Honestly,
I do too.
He's probably one of my favorite
Alley
tight
Cox,
ends.
man.
He's just a humble guy. Just gets out there and plays football. I love it,
Dude. I love their Madden roster is awesome, especially the tight end position, like Molly Cox, Jelani Woods, who's like another monster looking to. But they're
huge, but at the same time, there's no one else really. Paris Campbell shit the bed.
Where you at, bro?
I had him in DFS lineups everywhere. I literally was like, I told everybody on my show, I'm like, Paris Campbell, just throw him in there. And then I of course I didn't forget, but I kind of forgot about the concept that the Jags just destroy the Colts anytime they go to Jacksonville. So it's like,
oh my God, knocked him out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's right. I like the Michael Pittman, Michael Pittman, Paris Campbell. Yeah. I had let him go in our dynasty. I drafted him in our startup. I was really excited about it. Finally let him go. Johnny picked him up. He was really excited about it. He's watching all the YouTube videos. All like, here I come. He's got his family on board. He's all emotionally invested. And he's got a lot of snap share percentage, but not a lot of points. Yeah. And the faith is draining. We got some questions at the wide receiver position, though. Talk about faith draining, Travis. We talked about this potentially being a big old carousel of wide receivers. Juju Smith-Schuster's the favorite. I mean, I still think he's probably the number one, but is it just so dispersed outside of Kelsey that you're like, maybe throw someone in your flex or not? MVS is probably off consideration. I'm okay on Mecole in like deep leagues. He's been involved, even if not like heavily. It looks like he is consistent, just not a huge load. Juju Smith-Schuster is probably still the number one, but he's not as tantalizing as you might have like been hoping in your mind before we talk. What do you think?
Yeah, not yet, at least. Juju's one of those guys where I'm not like so like out. I think you got him at a good spot. Most drafts, hopefully, that you don't like have to terribly rely on him, hopefully. And so for me, he's a guy like I want to see a month to 6 weeks of Juju in different spots to see if I can target matchups for him. Because Pat told us this. Pat Mahomes told us before the season starts. Sorry, guys. Sorry, fantasy managers. You're not going to be able to tell any week. It's going to be matchup based. We're going to cycle through here, which was what we were saying all offseason, right, Austin? The question kept coming to us. Hey, what's the answer? And I kept saying it's Travis Kelce. Like that is the one person you're going to know that is going to get his in this offense. And that's what you got to go with. And I think, MVS is a guy that people were excited about because of the cost. His ADOT is so low right now. He is just like not even getting open as a guy downfield right now. So they are just scheming up other ways to get involved. Houston, was that his name? Or Watson? Watson, the guy that, the guy that got down the field last week because Mecole went out. So every week they're just going to be rotating different guys that can make plays. And Andy Reid probably loves it, but we're not really in love with that. I think Juju is a hold, a wait and see. I understand if you're desperate and you need it, but like we've got a couple more weeks. Let's see him in certain matchups and see if we can't target the way, the boom games for him.
Yeah. The Chiefs look good. The Chiefs overall are cooking.
Exactly. Look at Juju. So look at the 2 game scripts for Juju here. One was a really, really tough matchup against the Chargers secondary, the Chargers defense in general, right?
Yep.
Still decent amount of time on the field, running routes and stuff like that. The first game, he got a great amount of targets, and then they blew out the Cardinals. They didn't really need him anymore. So I think, again, he's a hold. He's a guy that we can look at in certain matchups. When they get tangled up in this AFC West and they got to beat high-flying opponents again, I think Juju could have a better second half to the year. He might be a buy low guy for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of interesting one there. Staying in the AFC West, a couple of the Raiders starters will not be starting for your team unless you just completely forget to set your lineup in week 3. Josh Jacobs is not traveling to the team. He's sick. Hunter Renfrow is concussed. Mike, are you starting Zamir White? I mean, you're starting Darren Waller. You're starting Devontae Adams. I don't think we're advising any other wide receivers. But the question at running back is a legit one. You might have an available running back sitting on your waiver wire for a decent offense. Do you agree? Who would it be?
Yeah, I mean, it's between Amir Abdullah or Zamir White. And, right now they drafted Zamir White to be another guy in this particular offense. They really do like him a lot. Amir Abdullah is great and all, he has decent draft capital too. If you remember, he was drafted pretty decently high, but has kind of fell off the face of the earth. And
dude, him with the Lions, man.
Yeah.
I remember drafting him in the 4th round. It feels like 10 years ago, being like, this dude's gonna pop.
Oh yeah, everyone thought that, and then he just fell off the face of the earth. And so for me, I like Zamir White as this being his homecoming and him being used. Would I put him in my lineup this week? Probably not. I would probably just grab him to hold on my bench for now, just to see how it's used. I mean, who are they facing again? They're facing. I have to go through my whole list of people.
The Raiders are playing the Titans.
Titans. Oh, that's tough. I probably wouldn't play him, and it's basically because the Titans D-line is probably a little bit better than Raiders O-line. Jeffrey Simmons is just an animal. Have you ever watched him play? He's like Aaron Donald, just bigger. Like, he just goes right through that hole. And if you have a weak center, anybody that is just not even worth. I mean, I watched him play week 1 against the Giants, and he just right through the line. He is just somebody special.
Travis, I saw you pick up Zamir White in Tolton in our League of Record. Are you starting him?
I will probably not be starting him, but it's more of an investment in Zamir White as a breakout. So I think what I would like to see is a new coaching staff see their new guy get in the game for Josh Jacobs and do things that help them win the game. If that were to happen, then you might have something brewing there. Other than that, I think it's just a stash at this point. Yeah. But, he's kind of on that same radar as the Arizona backs, as Dobbins if he plays, as some of these question mark running backs that we'd have. And, maybe you're out there and you've got them. We haven't had a ton of major injuries to running backs yet, so maybe you don't have to. But some of these 0 RB squads are looking to piecemeal, RB2s and 3s in there. And I think you could do a lot worse than throwing in a Zamir White in this game.
Daryl Williams, Zamir White, J.K. Dobbins. Which order? Starting this week.
So I would go JK, and that's just a bet on talent. And if they're starting JK, I gotta feel he's back. And then but that's a personal thing. I do have a bias built in with JK, but then Zamir would be next because yes, there are other guys involved, but Josh Jacobs' peripherals as far as usage are pretty good this year.
Yeah.
So all Zamir's got to do is fall into the end zone. If he is the Josh Jacobs replacement, he's just got to get in there.
Yeah, I like him better. I definitely like Zamir a little bit better than JK in the context of being used.
Right.
At the same time, this is a 1-week fill-in, to be honest. He's going to be back fine next week. It's not like, this is a fourth, Elijah Mitchell type injury where you're picking up, Jeff Wilson, for 8 weeks of investment. He's literally playing for 1 game. So unless you really, really need somebody at running back, he's really not worth picking up.
It's a good take. Before we move on, just a little bit of a shout out to Zamir White, who was the number 1 prospect at the running back position coming out of high school, 5-star recruit. Then he had a couple of ACL injuries in both knees, playing in Georgia, had some weird usage rates, but this guy has got some more C's on his knees, and I think people give him credit for. And I'm excited to see what he could do with the amount of opportunities he could potentially get this week. I'm just excited to watch as a fan of football. I like watching the Los Angeles Rams as a fan of football. They've been pretty good. Even without Keenan Allen, their number 1 wide receiver, Mike, who's had that hamstring. He's questionable week 3. He's gotten limited practices this week. I think he's going to play. Justin Herbert dealing with that fractured rib cartilage, or his calf. This area is not 100%.
It's right here.
Yeah, it sounds like a pain thing, but that also is when you open up and you throw. I don't know how you can be as accurate, as strong throwing it. He, for me, gets a drop down even if he plays, but he's elite. He's so good. How do you handle this situation, Mike, if you got Justin Herbert on your squad?
See, and this is where I actually was listening to Jeff Mans on Sirius XM today, and when I turned it on, he was talking about this particular scenario, and he was just screaming at the top of his lungs the concept that they're listing him as questionable. He didn't practice today, and you're going to list him as questionable. It's a 4:00 game. Like, just say if he's playing or not. Like, Jesus Christ. And I get teams have, their way of doing things, and we all know that he's probably not going to play. I mean, there's a good chance that Chase Daniels takes this. I mean, he was taking first team reps, and to be completely honest, even if Herbert plays, that whole thing of him practicing today with the ones is to kind of be like hey, if he gets hurt or can't play, I can just go right into the offense and everything works out. So I don't trust the scenario. I have him in my Scotty Fishbowl league. I'm going to go probably with Jimmy G and Jared Goff. Like, I have those two guys as backups, which I lucked the hell out with Jimmy G, to be completely honest. So for me, I got Jimmy on my team already. I'm playing Jimmy and Jared over Justin Herbert because I have no other choice, because I could wait and I can easily switch him out with Jimmy if I really want to. But I don't know, man. I mean, he did look okay after he got the injury. I mean, we all saw him throw that, what was it, a 50-yard bomb down the, on a rope. So can he be effective? I mean, he's not going to throw it. He's not going to throw it downfield a ton. They'll probably just Eckler might have a decent game. Right. Joshua Palmer might have a good game if Keenan's out. Just underneath routes. Everett's going to do fine. But I mean, I don't know, man.
Jared Bangers doesn't know either on this one. Travi, I'm thinking of you with this question here. It's a relevant side here. We've got Jared Bangers, welcome to the show. If Herbie's out, I got Tua and Wentz. Who would you like? I mean, like, Wentz is leading the league in yards. Tua is not too far behind. Man, what do you think, dude?
You know the answer I'm going with. It's Tua time, baby. Yeah, the Buffalo Bills secondary, which has been tough, banged up. So we got Micah Hyde out. We've got Dane Jackson out. So there are some things to like in this game. The over-under is good. Vegas likes the team implied total for the Dolphins. I trust Mike McDaniel more than I trust
every week.
Wentz. So that's just where I'm at with it. Could Wentz get home? Yeah, of course.
Oh no,
I like the Eagles defense. There's just so much more things that I like about Tua with the upside with those wide. How does any defense cover both of those wide receivers? I don't know how they do it, and that's where I'm at with Tua. So I like him, and this is a great test, even though the defense is banged up. The front seven is nice, so you like to see how he can do against it, but I'm in on Tua here. We were talking about the Chargers here. I don't want to skip over just yet. Mike Williams. What do we do with Mike Williams if Herbert sits? Because he had such a monster game. He's probably a mainstay in your lineup. But with Chase Daniel at quarterback, what are we doing with Mike Williams?
I think he's okay to play.
You still think he's good? I mean, he is a contested catch guy, so we don't need Daniel to be that accurate to get Mike Williams the ball.
Mike Williams without Justin Herbert or Gabe Davis this week?
Mike Williams, because he's healthy.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's the main thing. And that's a good area to put him at, honestly. I mean, Gabe Davis is a great player, but he's won the number 2. He's hurt. I'd rather go with the guy that I know is healthy, going with even a backup QB. I mean, Chase Daniels is it's not a spring chicken, but he's been in the league a long time to know what to do with the ball. And, a lot of checkdowns because he played in a lot of West Coast offenses, if I'm not mistaken. And he played with Andy Reid for a long time and knows that type of dink and dunk type thing. Honestly, I feel I'm okay with Mike Williams.
Last part of that game, if Herbert doesn't go, I'm smashing Jacksonville. I like him to get the upset.
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay. I don't.
The line changed. The line changed from 7 to 3. So I kind of like Jacksonville coming off a big win. I like what they're doing on offense.
I was going to pick Jacksonville.
And their front, Mike, with a banged up Chargers offensive line.
Yeah,
I mean that's
if Corey Lindsey's out, that's going to be an interesting game to watch. And to be honest, I'm going to be picking the Chargers for a lot of things not the Jaguars, because I've been a big fan of Jaguars as a whole. I mean, they have a pretty good defense. It's a very underrated defense.
Yeah.
I know they're 1-1, but they're pretty good. I'm telling you.
Speaking of pretty good, we got Jacoby Meyer. I like how they frame it here. New England's PPR wonderkin has led the team in targets, and each week has a total of 19 in 2 games. He had 13 targets, 9 catches, 95 yards last week, 6 targets, 4 catches, 65 yards the week before. Travis, man, I was cursing Jacoby Myers all year last year after you'd get 13 catches for 13 yards or something. I was like, just get me the out of here. But I like the output so far with those 95 yards last week, 55 the week before that. Not bad. Not getting a lot of touchdowns. I don't know how many touchdowns this New England team is going to be getting overall. I guess in a deeper league, you're feeling fine about Jacoby?
Yeah, I think in PPR too. If we look at obviously a much better offense than the Dolphins, but we were talking about banged up defenses. Baltimore's secondary absolutely ravaged right now. We saw that last week. So again, I think Jacoby Myers could feast in this game. And if you're in PPR, he's a fine, flex borderline wide receiver 4 kind of play. That's where I'd kind of put him.
Wide receiver 24 in PPR right now. Wide receiver 36 in standard.
Yeah, exactly.
A picture about what he usually does with those targets. Man, we got some news here over in New Orleans. We got Taysom Hill. He's dealing with ribs. What the hell is going on with ribs in New Orleans, man? I thought that this was dealing with ribs. I thought we were dealing with crawfish. Nope, it's ribs. We got Taysom Hill. We got Alvin Kamara. We've got Jameis Winston. He's dealing with a back. He's banged up. It's kind of weird. Winston's dealing with, says 4 fractures. He looked all right. He looks all right moving. He doesn't look so good throwing. Didn't have the most efficient game, but I'll just stop there. What do we do with our Chris Olaves, our Michael Thomases? What do we do with our Jameis Winstons? If Kamara is in, I think you probably play him. I mean, he was my first round pick in our league of record. I think I'm begrudgingly rolling him out because who am I going to start over Alvin Kamara in that situation? So you're probably playing him unless you really had a come up. What do you any strong thoughts here about this New Orleans team that's got a lot of players but also a lot of questions?
It's very tough. I mean, I suggested to people last week to play Taysom Hill because I thought that this injury, this news that came out with the 4 fractures in the back was going to be something that hindered him, and I was like, what the? I'm like, okay, let's try Taysom Hill. He could be,
he should smash, right? Yeah. Kamara's out. Winston's banged up.
He was listed as in FanDuel. He was listed as the 3rd tight end at money worth, and I'm like, that's insane. And I thought about it for a minute. I'm like, oh, okay, 4 fractures in the back. That's not good. I actually talked to a friend of mine who actually has 2 fractures in his back currently.
Yeah,
and he's a athlete. Like, the guy runs around and does all types of shit. He is completely okay and not like nothing. So, I mean, I think he'll be okay. I mean, they definitely have the meds, the things to take care of him. He'll be fine. Unless he's part of the Chargers, thankfully he's not on the Chargers. We do have to keep an eye on Herbert, unfortunately. But I mean, I guess this is a great question, and Rasta brings it up in the chat. Is do you play Jeff Wilson or Kamara? Like that is a legit question.
I think I'd play Jeff Wilson.
I would play Jeff Wilson probably.
He's healthy.
Yeah, I would play Jeff Wilson.
All right. You too, Travis?
No, I'd be playing Kamara.
All right, I love it.
Yeah, if Kamara goes, I'm playing Kamara, and that's just because with Winston's stuff, they might want to limit it and go with the run game a little bit more and get your Kamara in there. And what they said about Kamara, remember Kamara played week 1 through this injury. And then they said basically that they wanted to be a little bit precautionary. And if they say he's going to go, then I think they like him to be, pretty much back to where he needs to be to play. So I'm actually in on Kamara if he goes.
Okay.
As far as the offense goes, there's kind of conflicting reports. Yes, it kind of sounds bad, but to Mike's point, he's got a friend who did it. Tony Romo actually had a really good year before the year that he went down and Dak took over. He had that same fracture in his back and had a really nice productive year and played through it. So yes, it's a serious injury and it can cause some further damage, but it's definitely
too.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So there are guys that go out there and sling it. And what you notice about both of those guys, Romo and Stafford, They're slingers. They sling the rock, and that's what Winston does. So love my Olave shares. Love my Michael Thomas shares. I mean, I'm not as confident as I was without the back fracture, of course. But Chris Olave, I think one of only like 2 or 3 wide receivers to get 300 air yards last week. So, I mean, it's unreal where Olave is at, and he's going deep down the field. It's just a matter of time before we get the explosion game out of this offense. But, so John Daigle likes to call them prayer yards. Some of them are prayer yards with Jameis Winston.
Like
so,
I have Kamara at like 21 on my list. Like,
okay.
Yeah,
so I get it.
Yeah, the problem I have with Wilson is Debo could steal a touchdown. And that, I guess you could say the same thing with New Orleans, like Taysom Hill could come in or something. But Kamara is a weapon. Jeff Wilson isn't a weapon. Jeff Wilson's a cog in the in their offense.
Good point.
And, so that's
My biggest question is Jeff Wilson and or Daryl Henderson. Like, that's my big dilemma.
I'm going Wilson there.
Yeah.
I saw too much out of the Rams to tell me that it was always part of the plan to have Akers do more.
Agreed.
But week 1, something happened. He wasn't, I don't know, maybe it was a week of practice. He wasn't ready. Whatever. He missed that block. They never let him back on. But then if you notice, Squeaky Wheel McVay was like, hey, we need to get him activated. We need to get him going. And they did. And Henderson got in on that red zone and got the touchdown and got home. But it was like, 15 touches for Akers, something like that. So, I mean, Akers, I think the draft capital's there. I think projects to be, this is kind of a weird thing to say, both are injury kind of prone. I think he projects to be the more durable of the 2 backs. Akers does. So I'm a little bit more back in on Akers than I am. But this could be one of those things where it's like, this week it's Akers, next week it's Henderson.
It probably will be. And I see some questions coming in the chat. Val's the GOAT. Smarts, thanks for joining us. We're going to get to all of the questions before the end of the program, but we're going to work our way here through the news and notes. If you got a question relevant to the topic at hand, we'll do our best to squeeze it in here. Last one from Anthony before we move on from New Orleans. What about Pierce or Kamara, Travis?
Kamara. I like Pierce as a starter. Yeah,
I like Kamara on this one over too.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go Kamara.
Mike, coming to you here for the New York Giants updates. Kadarius Toney, hamstring, didn't practice on Friday. Who knows if he studied his notes? Who knows if he got a high enough score on his homework to actually be able to go outside and play with his friends? Wan'Dale Robinson dealing with a knee issue. He missed practice on Thursday.
No.
What do you think about your New York Giants?
Oh, it's going to be fun. I actually – who are you starting?
Yeah.
Sterling Shepard. I mean, Sterling Shepard, Richie James, those are the 2 guys that you're definitely going to be doing. Get rid of Galladay. I mean, there's been tons of reports with the concept of how upset. Now, that could be the squeaky wheel type thing where they get him really involved this week. But Dable's been basically saying, like, he is done. Like, he's to the point where I don't care about how much money you make. If you're on the field and producing and you're actually wanting to be here, I'll give you the ball. And we can see that with Toney and how he's used. You can see it with how everything's been going on. I mean, Richie James is their freaking leading receiver, which is insane to think. And Sterling Shepard, to his credit, I mean, he's been working his ass off coming back from an Achilles injury and looking great. So honestly, I'm a little shocked they don't use Bellinger more. I'm a little shocked. Well, I'm not shocked on Barkley's usage. I mean, he's doing great things, and I'm really happy about him right now. I mean, this game's going to be fun. I'm actually going to be at the game on Monday. I'm excited about that one. Bringing my dad, bringing my brother, me and all of us are going to the game. I'm excited for that. It's going to be – they have it white out, so they want everyone wearing their whites, and I'm not, unfortunately.
Out of love for my guest, we're going to move on because the only things that I would have to say are not going to be as bright and shining as our friend Classic Mike said. I would not be starting Sterling Shepard.
No, I'm not starting them. I'm not starting them in like a 12.
But...
No, maybe in like a really deep league, I'd start one of the 2 of them. But have them on your team because we could see big things coming forward. That's all.
It's got to go somewhere. It's getting sorted out. We'll see where it all ends up.
That was just more like I'm excited to see what they do.
I'm excited you're going to the game, too. Excited to hear about how that's going to work out for you. Travi, the other team in New York, looking weird. Kind of fun. Definitely weird. Uzomah is a hamstring. He's questionable week 3. I don't know if that really matters for you at all. Corey Davis, though, this is something to monitor, and if he's out, I'm certainly getting more excited about Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson. You're probably going to be starting those 2 guys anyways, regardless, though. Corey Davis, I don't think he'd be an advised play. What do you think about Corey Davis in this matchup here if he does play?
Well, I think that if you picked up Garrett Wilson, you're kind of just hoping Corey Davis rests this game so we can get even more snap share out of Garrett Wilson this week.
Right.
Because what we've seen is if he increases his snap share, he increases his production. He is the number one wide receiver in expected production because he is used in the red zone. I think the most out of any wide receiver right now. They just target him a fuck ton in the red zone. I love this, and I want to just preach a little patience to those with Elijah Moore. We know Elijah Moore is good at football, and he's running all the routes, okay? We just need things to settle down a bit, and those targets are going to get funneled, I think, to both of those two wide receivers. We are watching a breakout happen for Wilson. We already watched a breakout happen for Moore. I think what we got to pray for the most is either one, that Zach Wilson is good when he comes back,
Or
that he doesn't come back and Joe Flacco retains the job. That
was going to be my next question is what do you feel about that? Do you think that when he comes back that Joe is going to keep the job?
If Joe Flacco beats the Bengals, I don't know how you could be like, yeah, we're going to go right back to Zach Wilson. That would be a big comeback win against the Browns, and you go and beat the Bengals, who just went to the Super Bowl. Now, they might do it because it's their first-round pick, but we have a little bit of a difference. We talked about this between GM and head coach on this team, on the quarterback, it sounds like. So that's something to watch. But, yeah, I'm really in on Garrett Wilson, and I want to practice a little bit of patience for those who have Elijah Moore. Better days are ahead for him.
Okay. Moving on to the San Francisco 49ers. The one bit of news we got here is the return of George Kittle off the final injury report. We're firing George Kittle up. And he has no hesitations. All right, we're moving on there. Get excited about it. Hope it all works out. Love to see him play. Now, this is
can we go back really quick? Just really quick. How happy are George Kittle GMs that got him at such a discount when people thought Trey Lance was going to be his quarterback? Now Jimmy G is your quarterback for the rest of the year. I think it's about to be like he could be one of the steals of this year's draft because of where he was going.
It's kind of funny. We actually had a trade that we talked about in our show on Wednesday, and it was Travis Kelce and I think it was Dalvin Cook. I think it was, and they traded for Kittle and Rashad Bateman, and I forgot the third guy off the top of my head, but there were three people in the trade going to him. Everyone was like, this trade should have been vetoed. I'm like, what? No, like that. They're betting on George Kittle doing well in the next few weeks because of the whole thing with Jimmy G. I am on board with that trade, and it looked very lopsided when you looked at it. But I'm sitting there like, no, George Kittle.
I mean, really good. Yeah, I think for me personally, George Kittle is the best tight end in football.
Oh, me too. I'm in the same boat.
We all know he misses so much time, but he does his own work. He's so good. I can't wait to watch him play football. It's so much fun. He goes out. He exercises violence with joy, with no malice in his heart. It's like the weirdest combination that I've seen of people. He's awesome. He reminds me of like a Troy Polamalu with the tight end position.
Yeah,
it's great.
I compare him to Bavaro. Like he just runs down that field and just doesn't care about anybody else but himself. I love him.
Guys, what do we do about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and all of these freaking crazy situations? We got Mike Evans, right? He's suspended. We got Rashad Perriman. He's questionable. Julio Jones, he's also questionable. Russell Gage is looking like the most likely, but he's been banged up since training camp. Chris Godwin's not going to play. Travis, what are you doing? Who would be your start out of these wide receivers in Tampa Bay? Would you start anybody?
If Julio goes, I'd start Julio, but you got to know the risk that's going on with Julio. Like he could be out of the game within a little bit of the game. Yeah. But I do like how he was used as the deep threat. So if he's good enough to go, I don't mind playing him there. The sneaky DFS guy that I'd be interested in right now is Scotty Miller. And I know he hasn't produced a lot, but he's been targeted on 40% of the routes that he's gone and ran on. So he's actually getting targeted. He dropped a few against a pretty tough secondary against New Orleans last week. But Scotty Miller would be like a DFS play dart throw. I probably wouldn't be starting him in 12-team or anything like that, but definitely 16-team leagues. Our listener league, I think he's worth, some sort of dice roll with that quad flex. But yeah, Scotty Miller, even Rashad Perriman, if all of them are out, Julio, Gage, and they're out, like then maybe Rashad Perriman has a deep throw. That dime he caught by Brady was something special last week, and we know Perriman can get down the field. But again, the strength of the Green Bay defense is in their secondary. Jair Alexander, Eric Stokes, we've got great safeties. So I think, again, like I said earlier, it's really about the running backs in this game.
I don't know if I would start. I don't know if I'd be starting any wide receiver because of the points you made about the Packers secondary. This defense is pretty good, and Brady is. This is a little different of a Brady than we've ever gotten. I mean, just based on the fact that he's prepared differently this offseason, his temperament seems a little different. Now, then we saw him, in that 3-3 tie with New Orleans, smash the tablet, and then come back and win by a decent margin. But I don't know, man. This doesn't seem like the same fully strength, fully scary Tom Brady, and the offense seems kind of damaged. And the defense, right? I don't know if I would want to start any players. Like we could go with like the Scotty Miller takes and some Russell Gage if like he's a healthy one, but like, is it actually going to work out, or are the Bucs going to put up like a couple of scores total, and maybe that comes through the run game?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a Fournette game.
Yeah, I agree.
Those other plays were definitely for like deep leagues or like a
deep leagues. Yeah, for like your work league, your hometown league. I think you probably save the stretch, just fade all the pass catchers here. Last one on the lineup, Whisper Nation, before we get to your questions here. It's in Tennessee. Dontrell Hilliard, who missed last week. He's removed from the injury report. He'll be available for the Titans and for you. That dude in like every other game gets like 20 fantasy points off of like really limited weird usage. It's strange. Go back multiple seasons now. Treylon Burks removed from the injury report. He's going to play. I like him long term. I'm curious to hear if you guys like him this week though. And then Kyle Phillips doubtful week 3. And so yeah, Mike, who are you starting, if anybody, in that like league of record hometown league, not super deep league? Anybody at the wide receiver position catch your eye?
I mean, Burks looked good. I liked Kenny Phillips until he got hurt. I mean, Kenny Phillips I picked him up in a bunch of leagues. But, with the shoulder, I'm not playing him. I mean, he's definitely out. With Treylon Burks, I mean, I do like Treylon Burks. He looked pretty good. I mean, considering last week he did okay. So, and he's at least getting targeted. He's definitely looking better than Robert Woods. He's definitely coming, into his own a little bit. We were all told in the beginning of the season, Robert Woods. Doesn't look like that anymore. I mean,
offense looks bad, right?
It does. And a big reason is that offensive line is beat up. Taylor Lewan is going to be out as well on the left side. I mean, once he was out, literally the whole thing kind of fell apart. I mean, them losing Roger Saffold was a big deal. I was saying it in the beginning of the year, and that's one reason why I was down on Henry. And honestly, as much as I love Henry, I mean, I'm a little even hesitant to play him just because, I mean, this Raiders front is actually pretty good. They have a really strong defensive line, with Jonathan Hankins on the middle and, they Max Crosby on the outsides and stuff like that, and Denzel Perryman and all these guys
Travis, that line is good in Baltimore. They're going up against. I saw you pick up Dontrell Hilliard before week 2, before he was out. Do you have any consideration for getting Hilliard involved in this, which could be like that pass out option if that line is so strong?
Yeah, Hilliard remains a stash for me. I thought that this injury was a little bit more serious, but he's right back to it. So so he's right. Yeah, he's good now. He's healthy, which 100%. I don't know if I don't know if that's true. But yeah, that it's definitely about the offensive line play and about them needing. They are hungry for targets, and who better than a pass catching back to be an outlet for Tannehill? But the Burks points that Mike made are good. On limited snaps right now, he is demanding targets. So he is a guy that they're hungry for it. So all we need is Vrabel to get him past like his rookie wall or whatever. He remains a stash for you. But I think he's one of those guys like a post by rookie bump candidate to really like get going. So if somebody's getting pissed off and tired and you're 2-0 and you want to like go stash him, buy low on Burks right now, because I think the usage could start to turn up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there we go. We got through our news and notes with you, Whisper Nation. That was awesome. We're going to be getting to your questions now. Mike, I'm not sure if you're able to stay around, but either way, you want to let the folks. Okay, great. Then we'll pause the plug until the end there. Moving on now with some of the questions here. Going up to the top of the list. Here we've got Wentz or Goff if Herbert is out.
Wentz or Goff?
Yeah, I'm going Goff here. We talked about why we like the Lions offense for sure. Yeah, I think it's a great start.
All right, stranded on second with Tony Clark. Welcome to the channel, man. My wide receivers are Jefferson, Waddle, Cooper, Curtis Samuel, and Jarvis Landry. I don't really have much of a tight end. I got a trade offer today. I would get Darren Waller for Amari Cooper. What do y'all think?
Yes. Smash
really good about this one?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Your wide receivers are loaded outside of Amari Cooper. You've got Waddle, Jefferson, and Curtis Samuel. You've got Landry there as well. And I think Darren Waller gives you that positional advantage. If you don't have anything at tight end, I would smash this.
Yeah, he's playing he's actually playing Evan Ingram. And I know Stranded, he comes from our channel to now to yours, which is great. I love community. I really do. I love this community. But he mentioned last week that for him, he was picking up a guy like Evan Ingram because he lost Dalton Schultz. So he was trying to figure out what to do. And now, he has an opportunity for Waddle. Take it.
All right. I like the takes on here. I don't disagree with these ones here moving forward. I love how the chat's been going off on this one. And so I just am working through, going down, finding the questions here. Oh, Ronald Calla, Cleveland. Oh, interesting point, not a question, but Greg Dortch has been the go-to receiver here for 2 weeks. Johnny, before he had to dip, was mentioning Dortch has been on the rise.
Yeah, his ADOT's really low. He's not very much of a burner, but he's been a guy that soaks up because Arizona line's been pretty bad. I think the biggest thing that Dortch shows me is I'm a little bit excited of stashing Rondell Moore. Maybe wait another week or buy low. But I think if Moore were to come back and get healthy, like he could be a really focal point of this offense. We heard all the talk coming in. He got injured right before the season started. And then Dortch started to soak up targets in this offense. And he's playing that role. So that's why Moore is a little exciting for me when he comes back.
Lincoln was here coming in. Welcome. Who should I draft with my 604? Keenan Allen, George Kittle, Mike Evans, or Antonio Gibson? Dynasty Superflex, 12-man league startup draft in the middle and after the start of the season. This is kind of fun.
Yeah, I've never had that before.
Is this like a long draft where you're like, I got 24 hours on the clock. I'm going to go ask some
year. It's a year per pick.
I like it. So what do you guys think?
I would probably lean Kittle here.
Yeah.
I like the positional advantage a little bit more than the age on Keenan Allen and Mike Evans. Gibson could get a nod, but they love Brian Robinson there. And so that just gives me enough to be able to kind of move towards Kittle in this one.
I mean, maybe Evans is just a slight more to me just because we know he's going to get used. He's only out for a suspension. It's only one game. It's not like he's not going to miss, the rest of the year. So for me, it's probably Evans. And I'm right on board with you with Kittle. Like, I think he'll smash. But for me, Evans is probably that pick.
I think I'm there with you. These guys are also similar. Like I 28 years old. Like it's kind of
I don't like Gibson. I'm not a big fan of Keenan Allen with the injury. Older. Mike Evans is just, right there.
Over here. Sheffel Nabi coming in. Hunt and Cooper for Davis and Pierce. Who wins this?
Which Davis? Is it Gabe Davis, I'm assuming?
Let's go with Gabe.
Probably. So you Kareem Hunt and Amari Cooper for Davis and Pierce. I think I got to give it to the Hunt and Cooper side. I really love Gabe Davis, but I like Hunt's role, and Cooper's been doing pretty solid. So
I don't know if I want to hold both though. Like I would find a way to.
I know, and they're both Browns, and what a trade. Browns.
If you can get away with, you could probably get away with trading Hunt for Pierce, and that's about it. But no, I'm liking the Hunt and Cooper. Yeah.
Deluxe Krang plays. Welcome in. Should I trade Javonte and Waddle for Eckler and London?
No, absolutely not.
Please don't do that.
No, don't do this anywhere.
Yeah. If you can get Javonte and Waddle for that, that's good. Do
This
it.
is like an upside down league. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Which
would
is-
definitely not do that. Don't.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm with you guys on this one. Who do we answered this one right? Because this one
Yeah,
came up
Tua.
during the show. Should I trade Tua for Juju? I got Tom Brady. Asked Val's the go.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't be against that.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, it's getting
No,
value for
it's a little
for
weird,
a
though,
waiver
like-
quarterback.
Yeah.
Brady will get better probably when the wide receivers get healthy, but I don't know when that's going to be or if it'll happen. So
I don't think it's happening. I rather have Tua out of Tua and Tom Brady, to be completely honest. And if you're only giving up Juju, I mean, that's not horrible value. I would be okay with that, but
yeah, maybe that's the play, Vols, if you can actually turn Brady around for something better than Juju. Like if you can sell Brady on name value, then I would try to do that.
yeah, I agree.
I like that. What kind of combination would you suggest for a trade with Zeke and Gabe Davis? What can I get for a combination of Zeke and Gabe? It depends. I mean, there's two ways to evaluate this. We can say, like, you can go to like Dynasty Trade Calculator or whatever and say like Zeke would be worth 3,000 points and Gabe Davis is worth 6,000 points and this would be worth 9,000 points. And here's players who are worth 9,000 points. That's one way to go about it. But you can also, this is what I always recommend, what we usually recommend on trades. Go and do some work. Look at your league. Identify who needs a running back too. Go and find who could use a ceiling wide receiver like you got here in Zeke and Gabe Davis. And that's going to allow you to get a little bit more leverage from those folks. Find a person who matches well with this and see what they've got on their roster that would suit yours. That would be my recommendation.
Yeah, and I'll just name a couple second-round running backs like Leonard Fournette or Javonte Williams even. Like, if you can get that deal done, I don't know if you will, but if you can get that deal done and get those on the back end for them, that's something I do. The 2-for-1, you want to try and upgrade either of those positions, you know. And I think the usage you're seeing out of some of these guys is really, really nice. So I think that's what makes them buy lows.
He's factoring in here a little update on it. Factoring in Bateman also possibly.
I would not be selling Bateman right now. Bateman is dominating on like 60% of snaps. So wait till they have to play him on 80 and 90%, or when they choose to play him on 80 or 90% of snaps, he is going to be a very good asset. I wouldn't even want to trade Gabe Davis, but if you're in this situation, like
what
Zeke
are you
and
looking
Gabe
to
Davis,
get?
yeah, that's the other part of it. You know,
are you
Austin
looking
talked
to
about-
get a wide receiver or a running back? I mean, I can suggest to you, David Montgomery maybe, or someone like Leonard Fournette. Like those are the guys I'm thinking about. Maybe Antonio Gibson. Maybe. I mean, I don't know if you would want him, but like someone like that for those two guys, like maybe. But I honestly, I wouldn't want to do that at all. Just hold tight. Like
Ronald's throwing out a lot of love for Goddard involved in this, and Val's has given some consideration on this, but he wants to know, is Goddard good? And Ronald says yes.
Ronald,
did
Ronald didn't know that he was an Eagles fan before he just told you that Goddard was
Eagles
worth
fan
Gabe
and
Davis.
Yeah. No, don't do that. Don't do Davis for Goddard. Please.
Like
don't.
if you want to move Gabe Davis for a tight end, you should be thinking Kittle or Waller in that
Go
range.
up.
You should
Yeah,
be
don't
going
go
up a tier. I would not be going with Goddard.
Ooh, don't do that.
Knox and Davis for Goddard and Olave. No, see, like we're getting further away here, Falls.
Yeah, don't do that.
I'm assuming this is Dynasty. Yeah, we had Dolls on earlier, right? It is a Dynasty.
I don't know if it's Dynasty.
I didn't see anything about Dynasty.
Okay, maybe I'm just filling in that in. We'll assume redraft that.
No, there's another question with Dynasty. I know what you're talking about, though.
Right. Looks like we've got McCurley Wolf here. Welcome in. Have J-Rob, Naji, AJ Brown, Amari Cooper, and Devontae Adams. Need a running back. Which y'all think is the most probable candidate in the running back room? Well, are you asking like what a buy low candidate would be here at the running back position?
I'd say Montgomery. Someone like Montgomery, a guy with volume.
Who would you want to get off of? Who would you want to get rid of on this squad here? Like J-Rob and Naji. Be nice if you could
I don't want to get rid of either. Maybe Naji.
Oh.
I'd get rid of Naji.
You could probably get more for Naji, and I actually kind of like J-Rob more. Like I think
me too.
Naji could end up being J-Rob's production this year. Now, J-Rob a little bit more in a timeshare than Naji, of course, but yeah.
I mean, you could probably get Saquon or Chubb for Najee. And then
well, if somebody's giving you Saquon for Najee,
he's got Najee. Oh, this is a different one. Sorry, I was mixing up our guys.
I mean, maybe.
Who would you want to get off on this team? Like, if you could, I mean, here's the answer. If you can always package something up, go and find somebody who's got the pieces, who needs the pieces you're willing to.
The opposite. Yeah.
Like, I like J-Rob. I like something like Naji Harris and Amari Cooper. You might be able to package up for something even more sexy, like Naji Harris and an Amari Cooper, for something shinier on this one.
No, fair.
All right. Moving on. We just got, I think we got like one more question here. I got Najee and Saquon and Marquise and Sutton. I need an upgrade at a tight end or flex them 0-2.
Najee and Saquon and Marquise and Sutton.
You could probably move Sutton and Najee for something better.
I would move Najee and Marquise. I'd keep Sutton.
I meant Marquise. My bad.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm just kidding.
I love Sutton.
Yeah, I would want to be keeping Saquon and Sutton here and moving Najee and Marquise. And then as far as a tight end or flex, I wouldn't want to go Kittle just because of the injury history. But maybe
I hate doing wide receiver and running back for a tight end.
The tight end's tough unless you're going to go elite, and those elite guys, they don't give them up. They're not going to give up Kelsey or Andrews usually, So that's at flex though. Again back to like the Fournette range, the Javonte range, these guys that have the metrics, have the explosiveness, but haven't exactly popped yet, haven't scored touchdowns yet. Those are guys. Even Mixon, like Mixon's peripherals are good, but the Bengals look bad. If you can go get Mixon right now, that's a guy who's going to pop soon.
Yeah, running back 10. Yeah.
I would like a Mixon instead of a Najee Harris a lot. Maybe you can get that Marquise.
Completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
I would say don't freak out, though, about being 0-2. This isn't a bad squad. Let some things happen. Don't sell the farm yet. We've still got some questions that are coming out, but I like the Mixon level up if you can get that.
I would get rid of Marquise in one way or another. Find a different guy. I'm just not. I was never a big fan of him, and I don't know, just not my thing.
Yeah,
not your thing. All right, well, our thing is done today. We are through all the questions. Whisper Nation, it has been an absolute honor and joy to spend this Friday afternoon and evening with you, as it has along with our guy, Classic Mike. Can you let the people know where they can follow you and if there's anything they should be paying attention to that you're working on now, Mike?
Yeah, so you can definitely follow us at Get Right Fantasy Network. We're on YouTube, Twitter, all that fun stuff. Check us out there. Check me out on Twitter over here. We're also doing a 600 subscriber giveaway. We're trying to get to. We're giving away a Gabe Davis signed jersey. So we're trying to get to 600 subscribers. We're almost there. We're kind of just going along, trying to get that one subscriber a day. So make sure you guys check that out. Definitely check us out. We're going to be on in literally about an hour and a half. So we'll be doing our show, doing our full game breakdown. Starts it today. Just kind of something like this. Just unfortunately goes a little bit later than this. On a Saturday night, we go until, we've in the past gone until 5. But we're trying to keep it a little bit shorter on my end just because I'm East Coast. So we're just trying to keep that going. But, yeah. Check us out there, and I'll be back on Sunday too. So
there we go. So go ahead, Whisper Nation, go and check out what Classic Mike is working on. We got links in the description. And if we didn't get to your questions today, we will be back on before the next round of games, an hour and a half before kickoff. That's 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. We'll be chopping up all of the questions before the games actually start and then hanging out with you while the morning games get going through that first half. On behalf of Big Travie, Johnny Game Time Hicks, I'm Austin Sear. We're the Fantasy Whisperers. We'll see you next time. We're out. Peace.
Peace.